After the huge lack of news at the end of 2025 from fighting game developers, specifically at events like the Game Awards, I know that every single fighting game fan out there is waiting for a huge announcement around their favorite game. Well, I got you covered, because in this video I'm gonna explain to you some of the key events that could be full of announcements from early January to March of 2026 and why it might be an insanely hype time window for fighting game fans. So let's get into it. And the first event that we have to talk about for January is on the 25th, and it's called Dragon Ball Genki Damatsuri. And this event is essentially the 40th anniversary event for Dragon Ball, and the event organizers have already said that there is gonna be a lot of video game news, at the event. So not only we could get, for example, a new trailer for Daima Goku and Fighters, but also what are the chances that we get some sort of news about the future of the game outside of that DLC, because of course, like, Daima Goku is likely not gonna be the only new update that Fighters is gonna get. So what if maybe Dragon Ball Fighters gets the Guilty Gear treatment and it gets sort of an update or revision like Xrd got into Rev 2, or like GGST is gonna get with GGST 2.0 later. I wouldn't be surprised if Fighters makes another comeback and we get some sort of big update for the game with new DLC, maybe a little graphical update and things like that. And I believe that at this point that is much more, possible than an actual sequel for the game. So yeah, maybe we can see big news around Dragon Ball Fighters at this event. Then another big event that's gonna happen, and sadly I think we don't have the date yet, but there is supposed to be on January an Xbox Developer Direct. So we're gonna get a lot of news around Xbox IPs, of course, and Microsoft stuff, and we all know one IP that is related to Microsoft, and that is Killer Instinct. And of course the chances of KI making a comeback are really low, we have to be realistic, but if anything could happen, of course it's gonna happen at an Xbox Direct. So maybe put your eyes on it. If we get a huge surprise around KI, it could happen here. And also maybe some surprise, a new fighting game or a third-party developer that is making a fighting game, maybe DLC about other games or whatever, right? Anything can happen, so maybe put your eyes into that Xbox Direct. And then another big event that's gonna happen on the last weekend on the 29th is Frosty Faustings, and there's a lot of developers that could show things at this event. For example, SNK and Capcom need to show things. SNK needs to show Season 2 for Fatal Fury, and it could happen at Frosty Faustings. It could also just happen on a random Tuesday on YouTube, but on January you're gonna get SNK news for sure. And also Capcom has to show a teaser trailer for Alex, like the upcoming release date for Alex as DLC is supposed to be around March. And if that is the case, then we should probably get a teaser trailer for Alex in January and then a gameplay trailer on February, okay? So Capcom maybe could show something like SNK, randomly during January on YouTube, or they could do it at Frosty Faustings at the end of the month. And then we move into February, and this could also be a huge month, just like January. And the reason why is because there's gonna be a state of play, okay? Sony has been making a state of play events in February since like 2022 or 2023, so it is almost like confirmed that we are gonna get a state of play from Sony this February. And what games have already announced things at Sony events? Of course, Marvel Tōkon. They have literally only announced things at state of play events, and also Invincible Versus. So hopefully with the new state of play that Sony is gonna do at February of 2026, we get new character reveals for Marvel Tōkon, hopefully a big trailer, 4 characters or maybe even 8, like what happened when the game got revealed in the first place. And also we could get the last trailer for characters around Invincible Versus before the game gets to be released on April. So I think that state of play could have a ton of news around fighting games that could be really, really hype. Then also at the end of January, first days of February, we are gonna get the Tekken World Tour Finals. And this is very obviously the place in which we are going to get the first trailer, very likely, for Season 3 of Tekken 8. And we all know that everyone is waiting for Tekken 8 not only to get a big patch, and change the meta of the game, make it very different from what it is now, but also all the characters, all the new DLC, the possibility of maybe a new guest character and more. So I would put my eyes, at the end of January, the last weekend, and the 1st of February to watch the Tekken World Tour Finals, because we are probably gonna see a Season 3 trailer for Tekken 8. And the reason why I put it on the February window and not the last weekend of January like what I said with Frosty Faustings is because the highest chance of an announcement is probably gonna be on the 1st of February in the finals, in the actual Grand Grand Finals of the Tekken World Tour. So it is technically the first thing that's gonna happen in February as a month, maybe is, Tekken 8 Season 3. And then we move into March, and there is also a lot of things that could happen in this month. The first one is that we have Capcom Cup 12 from the 11th into the 15th, so we could see the last trailer for Alex at Capcom Cup outside of the teaser that I said that could be present in maybe Frosty Fostings or during January, and it would make sense because like Alex should maybe come out at the end of March or like the first week of April ideally. So if we need to see trailers for the character and they have not happened, they are gonna happen at Capcom Cup 12. It's impossible for that to not happen. So I would put my money that if you want to see that Alex info and trailers, go watch Capcom Cup from the 11th to the 15th. And March. Then also present in March, we have the ARC World Tour that is on the 20th during that weekend, and we could see a ton of announcements in here. Of course, we could see the first trailer with the actual info for Guilty Gear 2.0 for Strive, maybe what DLC is gonna make it in, what are gonna be the balance changes and all of that. There is a high chance that we're gonna see the news around, that a specific revision for Strive in the ARC World Tour Finals, and then also maybe some news about Tōkon, since it is, an ArcSys event, but I think that the state of play is a higher chance, and also maybe DLC for other games, like for example, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising could get a trailer, maybe some, French Red games, if they have some sort of announcements there with ArcSys and other things. So yeah, the ARC World Tour Finals during the 20th, during that weekend, is also very important for announcements. And then finally, there's two other things that I think are gonna happen in March, but we don't know specifically in what event or whatever. The first one is the new 2XKO champion, because Caitlyn is gonna come out in January with the console release, but who's gonna come next, and the next champion is probably gonna come out around April, so I will not be surprised if during March we get a new character trailer for 2XKO. And then finally, we also are gonna get, like 100%, Virtua Fighter 6 news, because the developers of VF6 had talked in Twitter, and they have said publicly that they are gonna make news when winter ends, so that is around March, guys. So there is essentially a really high chance that around the end of March, or I don't know, like the first week of April, we are gonna get news around Virtua Fighter 6 and what is exactly gonna happen with the project, because they have been on a big hiatus at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of like all the announcements that I can think of that could happen during the next, 3 months, and it's gonna be really hype and fun. So let me know which other announcements you would like to see or think that could happen during these events and other dates. And of course, if you can like and subscribe to support the channel, I would appreciate it. And keep enjoying fighting games. See you on the next one.